of www.imamhusseinfree.tv.
Even death was not able to separate Abbas from Hussein, just as the haram of Abbas cannot be separated from the haram of Hussein, in the same way that Safa can never be separated from the mountain of Marwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the mountain of Safa and Marwa to be from the sha'air Allah. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the haram of Abbas and the haram of Hussein to be sha'air Allah al-kubra. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed that between the haram of Abbas and the haram of Hussein, there is a land of mawaddah, there is a land of azar, there is a land of ishq, there is a land of junoon. This is the land of Bayn al-Haramain. So long as this haram of Abbas and the haram of Hussein remains, people until the day of judgment will beat their faces and chests shouting, Ya Abbas and Ya Hussein. The divine decree of Allah is that from the land of Bayn al-Haramain, every time a tear is shed for Hussein, a tear is shed for Abbas. It is the divine decree that from Bayn al-Haramain, so long as there is a chant Ya Hussein, it will be accompanied with a chant Ya Abbas. The decree of Allah is that Abbas can never be separated from Hussein.
Imam Hussein Media Group is a virtual university that works on a global scale to spread the true message of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt's peace and blessings be upon them. Imam Hussein TV was established 10 years ago in the city of Isfahan, Iran. We work to cover all aspects of religion, Islamic jurisprudence, politics, philosophy, and many more, and aim to bring the public's attention to the righteous Islamic sect, Shia Islam. Our ultimate goal as a media group is to convey the interpretations of the Holy Quran, as well as the traditions and knowledge of the Holy Prophet and his progeny. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon them. Our objectives are to...
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. This is a live show. We do taking your questions. So if you have a question on any topic to do with Islam, it can be in regards to finance, business, it could be marriage, could be property, what to do when traveling, what not to do, in certain situations. Send in all your questions via the WhatsApp, the email address. If you're watching on Facebook Live or on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section, and inshallah they'll be able to forward the questions to myself. Why not give us a call in the studio, +44 203 515 0199, and inshallah myself and the Sheikh will be able to answer your questions. I'm your host Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'a. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhana.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing this evening?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Sheikhna, if one makes a simple mistake while performing the Salah and then realizes his mistake and rectifies it, what should one do?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi al-Tahirin. Wa la'natullahi ala a'da'ihim ajma'een. We have what is known as Sajdatay as-Sahu, the two oversight prostrations. And you do that if there's any addition or subtraction from the Salah. Whatever has been added to the Salah, let's say a word or an act in which is outside the Salah, or it's not in the right position of the Salah, or you take something away from the Salah, you miss something, which is not rukun, as I've said before. It's not the main core of the basis of the Salah, which avoids the Salah eventually if you leave it. So for such mistakes, when you finish your Salah, when you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, you go to sujood, to sajda, with the intention of sajda sahu, oversight sajda, to recover this fault or mistake.
I see, excellent. Sheikh, a question from, I think it's from the YouTube, one of our social media platforms. Are the population of jinn more than human? So I guess a lot of us, we don't know much about the jinn. We do know that they are a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are made from smokeless fire. We can't see them, but they can see us. We also know things like that they have their own communities, they have their own judicial system, and some say that they're not as material as us, as in that they're not made from clay, therefore they don't need to eat and things like that. Some say they can even ascend to heaven and so forth. Sheikh, do you have anything that you know more about the jinn and their population and how many they are?
Well, I haven't seen or read anything about the jinn's population in overall, but what I have heard or read is that the population of the malaika, the angels, are huge.
Wow.
Billions and billions and billions. It's huge, huge, huge. I mean, countless.
We can't comprehend.
So much, yes, for the angels.
Sense. Inshallah. Sheikh, one of the mustahab salah in the Ghufayla salah, which is performed between Maghrib salah and the Isha salah, and is of 2 rak'ah. So how do we perform it? This Ghufayla salah, some actually misunderstand or they misidentify it as the nafilah, but the nafilah for Maghrib happens before the Maghrib prayer, not after. So there is a 2 rak'at salah that is performed in between Maghrib and Isha. Can you expand on that a little bit more, Sheikh?
Yes, basically it's a 2 mustahab rak'ah with the intention of the Salat al-Ghufayla. You pray it after Salat al-Maghrib. You stand up, intention of 2 rak'ah, and then you read Surah Al-Hamd in the beginning, and then you come to this verse, which is in Surah number 21, verses 87-88, which begins with the noon, الذهب مغاضبا. So straight away, when you say وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ, you start with the noon, الذهب مغاضبا, to the end of the 2 verses. And then you go to the ruku' and sujood, you stand up again for the 2nd rak'ah. Again you recite Surah Al-Hamd, and then you recite the other verse in Surah number 6, verse 59, وَعِنْدَهُ مَفَاتِحُ الْغَيْبِ, to the end of the verse. And then you go for the qunut. There's a dua in the qunut which begins with اللهم نسألك بمفاتح الغيب, to the end of the dua of qunut, and then you go to the ruku' and sujood and you end your salah. So it's a mustahab, I mean, salah between the Maghrib and Isha, in which the one can increase his rewards by these acts. As you mentioned, you have nafila, Maghrib, Isha. I know it's going to be lots of prayers and rak'at, but if you can, then that will be a credit.
51 rak'ah, I think, in total for the daily.
Yes.
The mustahab and the wajib included. Sheikh, a question from one of our viewers, I think it's from the social media. How do we write an Islamic will? Is there a specific way that we can write our will, or do we just piece of paper, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and then just write down maybe your assets and then what you'd like to go where?
I mean, we can go back to the books of the ulama. They have wrote their wills in some of them. We can take, for example, a copy from that, you know.
Oh, so they've got the format there?
Yeah, there is a format, but I mean, it's not compulsory to write to these formats.
Okay.
But usually they write, you know, Fulan ibn Fulan yashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammad Rasulullah, to the end. Initially testifies that, you know, Allah, to the Prophet, to the Imams alayhi salam, and then he starts, for example, his will in terms of any qada, salah, prayers, fast, and so forth.
Hajj.
So, I mean, you can just write your own will in the way you see it useful.
Okay.
What's important that you write what you want to be done after, inshallah, long years of age.
Awesome. Fantastic. Sheikhna, if one learns after a salah's prescribed time that one salah has been void, does that one still need to make it up later as qada? So I guess what they're trying to say here is that I've prayed, let's say I've prayed my Zuhr, Asr, I prayed my Asr prayer, and then it's time for Maghrib now, and then I've gone back to thought about my Asr and I thought, oh, I didn't perform this or perform that properly. and my salah was batil, do I need to perform the qada of that prayer, or is it okay that the time has passed now and at that time I thought it was sahih?
You see, it is mandatory and wajib for the one who either has not prayed or prayed and the prayer was void and invalid, to make sure that they do the qada, to make it up later, because this salah was not accepted, either because of the conditions are not met, or he hadn't actually performed the salah. Like Salat al-Subh, many people would sleep and are unable to wake up for whatever reason is there to perform Salat al-Subh inside the time of between the dawn and the sunrise. So you haven't prayed it, you have to pray it. Also, if the salah is batil, let's say you forgot to do the wudu and you came and prayed, it is full prayer salah but without wudu, and you just became aware after, let's say, 1 or 2 days, this salah becomes wajib to be performed as qada afterwards. You cannot leave it because, oh, I just did it, I just prayed, khalas, I did my duty. La, you have to perform this duty with all its condition and criteria. You can't just leave it and walk off. So make sure that you do it properly, or you have to redo it again.
Inshallah. Sheikh, a question from one of the viewers: can women wear black outside the season of mourning? Now, Sheikh, when it comes to wearing black, as you are fully aware, a lot of our sisters wear black to not attract attention from other people, especially during the Istikhara of the Imam and the holy Ahlul Bayt and some of the companions as well. We wear black to mourn and to commemorate their lives. Outside of those events and those timings of the month, can we wear black? Can the sisters wear black? Is it okay?
There's no issue with it. In fact, for the sisters particularly, because the color of black doesn't attract. When you wear a abaya or a chador which is black, it wouldn't attract the opposite gender in somehow, because what Islam tries to do is to reduce all types of attractions, eye-catching, temptations, whatever is there towards the woman. So she wouldn't be على كل حال in a position that others would look at this godly created mercy for the men to be there in a way that it would look just lustful with desires without any reason. So basically the black color would be a useful way in terms of reducing the attraction. Otherwise, if she wears all white or all red, for example, it wouldn't somehow attract. Although it's a hijab, it's a full hijab, but sometimes some colors would attract them somehow. And ulama and over they would discuss the issue that if it's attractive, then she needs to basically consider a different one.
Sheikh, what happens in the situation, for example, we're praying Salah, let's say it's a ruku, and before I get to the ruku, I'm on my way down to perform a ruku, and then I start to do the dhikr. Or what if I'm doing my ruku, I'm reciting the dhikr, and I'm on the last 2 or 3 words and I start to move away from the ruku position, I'm still uttering the words. Do I have to, redo the ruku, or is it accepted like this? What do I have to do in that situation?
Well, if you intentionally go to the ruku before you actually finish the surah, recitation of the surah, or you raise from the ruku position before you finish your dhikr of the ruku, intentionally, then of course the salah will be batil and void. You have to make sure that in every stage of the salah you're stable and you complete your recitation, whatever is the dhikr or the surah is. So you have to make sure you finish it and then you go to the next stage of the salah.
Inshallah. Sheikh, we're going to go to a short break. We're going to leave you guys with a short VT to watch, and inshallah we'll join you after this short video clip.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of scholars.
Is it permissible to plant trees by or over
Islam
the
establish based on peace and
non-violence? Is it permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim countries?
Is there an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, call in on +44 2035 150199 or WhatsApp us on +44 7415 092155. Alternatively, you can also email us on ahkamsos@imamhussain.tv.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ahkam SOS. Yes, we do have, we do take in all your questions and we do our best to try and answer them. If you have a question, you can send it in via the WhatsApp, the email address. If you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, send your questions in the comment section. Hopefully the back staff will be able to send them forward to me. Why not give us a call here live in the studio, +44 203 515 0199. Inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer any of your questions, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikhna, in this day and age, we have so much technology. Even the way we are playing games and entertainment is different. Now, we know that playing cards is haram because obviously it is an instrument of gambling. However, is it permissible to play cards with the electronic devices such as computers and smartphones? There are plenty of games, non-gambling ones as well, that use cards. Are we allowed to as Muslims?
Well, playing all types of gambling games is absolutely forbidden and haram. These are made for the gambling purposes and qimar, in other words. So playing with them is haram, be it through the same, let's say, tool of gambling, such as the cards, for example, or by the computer and so forth,
or the
other devices.
Yeah.
It's haram, you cannot play with them.
I see. Sheikhna, is it permissible for a husband to dispense of his wife's money? His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani, has an opinion on this. What's his opinion?
The Sayyid mentions that it's not permissible except with her permission.
Okay.
He must satisfy the wife before using, or even when using the money that she has saved for herself, for example, her own money.
Shaykh, a question, I believe, from one of our viewers, and that is, according to His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Khoi, rahmatullah alayhi, the late Grand Ayatollah, is it permissible to eat crabs?
No, the Sayyid is clear that it's not permissible to eat crabs. There's a hadith from Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says with regards to eating what type of fish, he says, كل من السمك ما كان له فلوس. Eat from the fish which has scales.
Scales, yes.
ولا تأكل منه ما ليس له فلس. And avoid eating the ones which has no scales. And definitely the crabs and such like squids, they have no scales.
Crabs have shells.
Yeah, so they have to have scales and not shells.
Another question from one of our viewers, Sheikh. Is it haram or makruh to work on Ashura, which is the 10th of Muharram, Tasu'a, which is the 9th of Muharram, and the days of the martyrdom of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, with the opinion of the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani? Now, Sheikh, we have big commemorations for the Ahlul Bayt. In Ramadan, we have, the Istishhad of Imam Ali, very big in the Shia community. Everyone's there at the mosque. Also with Imam Hussein, Fatimiyya comes 3 times a year. Zainabiyya comes as well. That we have Imam Sajjadiyya as well. Especially in the Pakistani community, we have 10 days after Ashura dedicated to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. And as you know, Muharram, one of the biggest. On these days, they can conflict with our work. Now, we do our best to attend the majalis, to go pay our respects, to go and give our azah, and also to perform the amal of those nights as well. Are we allowed to go to work, or is it makruh to go to work on those days?
Basically, Ayatollah Shirazi mentions with this regard that working on specifically the day of Ashura is makruh, is disliked. And it's mustahab to commemorate on this day. So the other hukum is mustahab. In one side you have makruh, discouraged to work on the day of Ashura. On the other hand, you have the istihbab and encouragement to participate in commemorations and azah of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. This is a tragic day and azah day in which we should avoid working and enjoying ourselves, because you see even other religions, I'm sure you know very well, on Christmas Day,
Yeah.
the world shuts down completely. Why?
Yeah.
Celebration. So why should the others have their own occasions,
Yes.
and they give such a status and respect to this day, and we have to neglect it? Why?
Yeah, yeah, especially for the specific days also to commemorate the wars and those who have fought in the war. You know, and they supposedly they gave up their lives for our freedom and so forth. So yeah, they are commemorated. You know, sometimes there's a day off. There's always the 1 minute, 2 minute silence for them. So yeah, with Ashura and with the Ahlul Bayt, definitely need to be commemorated and remembered. Sheikhna, what is the ruling regarding using wealth that has become liable to Khums before deducting the Khums from it? So are we technically allowed to spend that money before we've paid the Khums on it and pay the Khums later? Or should we pay the Khums first? Or is it actually absolutely forbidden for us to spend any of the money until the Khums has been paid on what is liable to be paid?
You see, when the new financial year comes, the day of the Khums comes, then it becomes wajib for the one to deduct the Khums from his overall surplus and excess money left in the bank, cash in hand and so forth. But if he wants to use it for any reason given, then he needs to, or she needs to ask the permission from the Ahkam SOS, the marja, that, you know, I need this amount of money, let me just pay my bills, for example, and then I'll inshallah in the next few weeks I will inshallah pay, I'll, you know, save some money and pay the Khums. But I need this amount. This requires a permission from the Ahkam SOS in order to use this money, which is Khums basically.
Sheikhna, if there is blood in my excrement and the blood doesn't stop, can I wash with water and offer the prayer? His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sa'id Hakim, he has a discussion on this. What does he say?
The Sayyid mentions that if the blood didn't stop, then the one can pray with such a deep wound and condition in which the one can pray even if there's a continuous blood coming out of this individual. But they need to basically wrap or bandage or somehow to basically prevent the blood from reaching the clothes and the body. So try to minimize the spread of the blood, and you can pray, that's fine, there's no issue with it. Because in this condition and situation, you can pray while there's a deep wound, let's say, in your body and there's a continuous bleeding. As long as you basically wrap or bandage that area.
Sheikh, if halal wealth is mixed with haram wealth and the amount of which is haram is known, but its owner is not, then what can be done with this type of wealth?
Again, you have to go back to your marja, to your jurist, and you basically give it to the Hakim Shar' as a Radd al-Madalim. I think we explained this. Radd al-Madalim means sometimes you have to pay an amount of money that you never knew what happened before. I mean, let's say you broke someone's mirror, or let's say you damaged someone else's, I don't know, property, whatever, and you were not able to pay him back or in somehow. So you pay Radd al-Madalim, and it goes to the on behalf of that individual. So in this case, of course, you go to the Hakim Shara, and he will basically take it as Radd al-Madalim on behalf of the owner of this amount.
Okay. Sheikhna, if one has enough money to go to Hajj and return to his hometown but does not own a house, is the Hajj of a higher priority or buying a house? Now this is really interesting, Sheikhna, because so many of us are desperate to get onto the property market. We spend years saving up just for the deposit and so forth. Yeah, Khums is applicable on it. Hajj becomes also wajib. So where does the priority lie? What should we do?
In this situation, because this individual now became mustati', he is capable of and able to go to Hajj, because he's got the amount required to go to Hajj, then it becomes mandatory and wajib to go to Hajj. Unless there's discomfort, there's some kind of severe discomfort, haraj shadid, as the ulama mentioned, that without buying the house, they're going to be in trouble. Let's say they're going to be homeless. They'll be thrown out of their rented property and somehow. There's a haraj shadid, severe discomfort. In this situation, they can avoid going to Hajj and spend this money for buying the house. But in overall, the one should rely on Allah Azza wa Jal, tawakkul ala Allah, and try to prioritize your wajib first, which is the Hajj, because you never know when you're going to get the opportunity to go to Hajj. Maybe if you paid for the cost of the buying the property, you may be always in debt or always in need of some kind of surplus to pay your mortgage and so forth.
Yes.
So better to and Allah Azza wa Jalla will fulfill, will give, will sustain, according to many narrations, the ones who goes to Hajj will be given doubles and doubles of amounts of what he spent in Hajj.
Okay, Sheikh, a question from one of our viewers. Salam, is it permissible to act against the Istikhara? For example, if the Istikhara advises not to perform the task, what would happen if someone still performs it?
Well, from the experience, we've seen that some people who took the Istikhara, for example, it was bad, and they neglected this issue, and they saw the consequences, which is, of course. So always try to stick to the Istikhara, unless you don't really want it. Somehow you want to change the situation. Then of course, the one can give Sadaqah.
What do you think, Sheikh? Now, because I think in today's day and age, and you've mentioned this before, some people they use Istikhara for anything, and there's a lot of events, there's a lot of times where really we don't need an Istikhara. Should I open a business or not? If you feel like opening one, go for it. What are you worried about? Why are you doing Istikhara for? Because you're worried about the outcome, and you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a better advice. Yeah, of course, but at the end of the day, if you want to go forward with it, you should go forward with it. There's no need for Istikhara. And if you are to lose out, I'm sure there's many lessons you would have learnt during that time and period of your business, which may have become very beneficial to yourself in future. Shaykh, what do you say with Istikhara and those people, especially in this situation where they said you do the Istikhara and then you still go against the Istikhara and advice? Do you think there was any point of taking the Istikhara in the first place?
Basically, Istikhara is when there is a hesitation, indecision, unsure, uncertainty. You can't just, if you want to buy ice cream, you take Istikhara, for example. I mean, you have to make sure that you use the Istikhara sensibly. Have some common sense and wisdom when it comes to using, asking Allah's advice. That's Istikhara is, the Holy Quran, what Allah says in the Holy Quran. So I ask His advice. So make sure that when it comes to a dead-end road or a situation where you can't make your own decision, then of course, switch to Istikhara.
Inshallah. Sheikh, if a person is physically healthy and his monthly income is very low and his house becomes ruined by excessive rain and he doesn't have enough to pay for its reconstruction, can Sadaqah be given to him? His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Hakim, he has an opinion on this. What does he say in his discussion?
He says that based on this question, you can give Sadaqah to this individual. Okay.
Sheikh, last question. Are the Buddhists amongst the Ahl al-Kitab? According to His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani, who he encompasses, he says that the Christians are part of the Ahl al-Kitab. He also says that the Jewish people are part of the Ahl al-Kitab, and also the Zoroastrians. Buddhists, are they included or not?
No, the Sayyid mentions that they are not part of the Ahl al-Kitab.
Okay.
Buddhists are part of possibly the Mushrikeen and so forth, but not part of the Ahl al-Kitab at all. So you have to avoid their moisture and najasat.
Ahsan. Thank you very much, Sheikh. And thank you to all the viewers for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If you have a question that you'd like to send in, please send it via the WhatsApp, the email address. If you've been watching on Facebook Live or on YouTube, please send them your questions in the comment section. And we do what we can to get you your answers. It's our duty to get you your answers. Your question can be on any topic, it doesn't matter. We don't need to know your name, we don't need to know where you're asking from. Totally anonymous, you can ask any question you'd like, and inshallah the Sheikh, who does a lot of research, will be able to find your answers, inshallah. Myself and the Sheikh will be back on Monday 6:30, inshallah, for another episode of Ahkam SOS. Join us then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Imam Hussein Media Group is a virtual university that works on a global scale to spread the true message of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt's peace and blessings be upon them. Imam Hussein TV was established 10 years ago in the city of Isfahan, Iran. We work to cover all aspects of religion, Islamic jurisprudence, politics, philosophy, and many more, and aim to bring the public's attention to the righteous Islamic sect, Shia Islam. Our ultimate goal as a media group is to convey the interpretations of the Holy Quran, as well as the traditions and knowledge of the Holy Prophet and his progeny, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon them. Our objectives are to protect and safeguard the Shia youth from the destructive impact of immoral ideologies, standing up against injustice by documenting the oppression of Shia across the globe, as well as encouraging peace and unity amongst the Muslims. To reach our aims and serve the Muslim Ummah, we require a budget that would cover all the expenses for our productions, allowing us to work on different projects. Imam Hussein Media Group is a crowd-funded project. We have no sales nor do we charge for our services. We solely rely on monthly payments, financial contributions, donations, religious alms, and generous gifts. The expenses of each production varies depending on the type of project and the style of filming. There are many elements to a production that requires time and capital. The producer must analyze the costs of the venue hire, equipment, transport, feature fees, set design, staff support, and further additional costs. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, narrated, "The best of people is he from whom people benefit." It is up to you to help the Muslim Ummah come together and help guide the youth in remaining on the correct path of Islam. To take part in this global conquest and to spread the message of Imam Hussein, peace and blessings be upon him, please visit www.imamhussein3.tv or give us a call on +44 0203 515 0199. You can also contact us via WhatsApp, Telegram, SMS, or even email us on donate@imamhussein.tv. Let's work together hand in hand to elevate the faith of our Shia youth today.
And finally opposite me, your pure shrine lies. All my life I've lived, now I meet with my demise. Karbala, I shed my tears wondering what I have been. I come to you dressed in all my lies and sin. I can't bear, oh forgiver. Now I'm here in Karbala, in Karbala.
Imam Hussein Media Group, out of respect to its audience, wants to be available anytime, anywhere. Our worldwide viewers, and in particular North America, can watch our channels through Roku TV setup box. To download our Roku app, follow these simple steps. Go onto the menu and select streaming channels, and then choose the category religious. Then you can find Imam Hussein TV from the list. Now choose add channel and then select OK. Done. Now you can find Imam Hussein TV in your home screen and watch all of our channels online.
When a person cries for Imam al-Hussein, this tear that comes out of the eye is an expression of the love and the mahabba and the mawadda for Imam al-Hussein, which is in the heart. Therefore, the tear is an expression of this firmly deep-rooted love that lies in the heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the emotion of love so powerful in that if it is manifested through a tear, this tear has the potential to cause revolutions that will cause earthquakes and bring the thrones of the tyrants crashing down to ash and dust.
have a duty towards the preservation and the propagation of the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, one of the best ways to work towards the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajul sharif is through promoting the values of Karbala. Imam Hussein Media Group is the only Shia television network that broadcasts globally in 5 different languages: Arabic, Farsi, Turkish, Urdu, and English. We are appealing to the lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam worldwide to support the channel such that it may continue its global operations. Imam Hussein Media Group is seeking 1,000 partners to pledge to a £14 contribution per month. This will allow the channel to sustain its operating costs as we continue to spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in multiple languages across the globe. You be a part of this great legacy and donate today. You can pledge in 2 ways. www.imamhussein3.tv/donate will take you direct to our donation page where you can pledge monthly. Or you can call or WhatsApp us on 0044 793 9917163. Imam Hussein TV, your gateway to Karbala.
آقا من این سوال رو از شما دارم. یه شب، فقط یه شب به این سوال فکر کن. شما میخوای از یه بیابونی عبور کنی، بیابون صعب العبوری هم هست، 1000 جور خطر توشه. این مسیری هست که مثلا 100 نفر تا الان در راه عبور ازش جون خودشون رو از دست دادن. بلد راه های این مسیر، اونایی که شما قبولشون داری، اونایی که مطمئنی اشتباه تو کارشون نیست، اونایی که مسیر رو مثل کف دستشون میشناسن، یه راهی رو برای عبور شما از اون بیابون معرفی میکنن، یه نقشه‌ای به شما میدن و میگن به شما غیر از این مسیر از هر کجا بری کارت تمومه، هلاکت رو شاخشه. با این اوصاف آیا شما به غیر از این مسیر پیشنهادی مسیر دیگه‌ای رو انتخاب میکنی یا نه؟ عاقل باشیم میگیم نه دیگه، این راهنمای ما کل این منطقه مثل کف دستشه، آدم دلسوزی هم هست، دروغگو هم که نیست. اگه مسیر بهتری هم میبود حتما به ما میگفت. حالا میایم تو زمان خودمون. ما تو یه زمانی هستیم که بهش میگن آخر از زمان، یعنی در برهه‌ای واقعا رنگارنگ و عجیب غریب که به سلامت رد شدن از بیابان آخر از زمان واقعا کار سختی. یه بیابونی که بلد راهاش مدام اخطار دادن، اخطار در پی اخطار، و چه اخطارهایی.
The debate time where all your questions and queries are discussed. We bring you a panel of experts and community leaders talking about what's on your mind and what you want to know. Marriage, children, religion, politics and health. Let us know what you want to discuss and we will bring the debate. Join me, your host, Sayyid Ali Al-Nawab, every Thursday for an episode discussing matters only on Imam Hussein TV.
سلام على آل ياسين السلام عليك يا داعي الله ورباني